Have you ever really thought about how massive family fortunes are built? I mean, not just made, but kept and passed down for generations, creating these dynasties that can shape whole industries. Well, today we're going to look at the playbook used by South Africa's richest families. Right, that's the big question, isn't it? How do you take one idea, one business, and turn it into a multi-generational billion-dollar powerhouse? We're about to break down exactly how it's done. Because, it's never just about the money. What we're going to see is this incredible mix of huge risks, really sharp strategy, and of course, the tricky dynamics of family. These are the threads that connect all of these stories. All right, let's jump right into the countdown. We're going to start with the families who've built these incredible fortunes from the ground up, starting at number 10 and working our way to 6. Kicking off our list, number 10, we have the Dippenaar family. The patriarch here is Laurie Dippenaar, and their whole empire is built right in the heart of the world of high finance. Their fortune is sitting at a very comfortable $610 million, and it all goes back to 1977. That's when Laurie and his partners founded what would, after a bunch of smart moves, become the financial giant we know today as First Rand. Okay, coming in at number 9, we've got the Mouton family. The head of the family, Jannie Mouton, is the founder of the huge investment holding company PSG Group. But their story, it has a fantastic twist. I mean, talk about resilience. In 1995, Jannie Mouton was literally pushed out of the very firm he helped create. For a lot of people, that would have been it. Game over. But for him, nope. It was just the beginning. He turned around and founded PSG Group, which ended up being an even bigger success. What a story. At number 8, we've got the Saulsman family. Now, this is a name you'll probably recognize. Back in 1978, two pharmacists, Ivan and Lynette Saulsman, started just one single retail pharmacy. They called it Dis-Chem, and that one store would go on to completely change the game. Their strategy was just so ahead of its time. They brought in a discount model that nobody in the pharmacy world was doing, totally shaking things up. From there, they grew, even expanding outside of South Africa. And then, in 2016, they listed on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, solidifying their spot as a billion-dollar empire. Now, check this out. At number 7, you have Christopher Wiese, who built a massive $1.1 billion fortune in retail. Think of household names like ShopRite. Then, right on his heels at number 6 is Steven Saad, with a $1.2 billion fortune in a totally different arena, pharmaceuticals. He founded Aspen Pharmacare, which is the biggest of its kind in Africa. Goes to show you there's more than one way to build a dynasty. Okay, so now we're moving into the big leagues. This is where the scale of wealth and the influence that comes with it really takes a massive jump. Let's look at the families ranked 5 all the way up to 2. Cracking the top 5, we have the Le Roux family, headed by patriarch Michiel le Roux. These are the geniuses behind one of South Africa's most innovative and, frankly, disruptive banks. So what was their secret? Well, they started Capitec Bank back in 2001 with a laser-like focus on South Africa's growing middle class. It was a market that was just not being properly served. The family still holds an 11% stake, which means their $1.3 billion fortune is tied directly to the bank's incredible success. Smart. Coming in at number 4 is the Becker family, led by Jacobus Koos Becker. We're talking about the media world now, and their company Naspers is an absolute titan. Yet being called the Rupert Murdoch of South Africa, that kind of tells you everything you need to know about the scale we're talking about here. His media conglomerate, Naspers, operates in 130 countries. It's one of the biggest media companies on the planet outside of the US and China. Just massive. In the number 3 spot, we have a truly historic figure. This is Patrice Motsepe, South Africa's first Black billionaire and the head of the Motsepe family. As of 2022, the family's net worth was a staggering $3.3 billion. The fortune started in mining with African rainbow minerals, but since then it's grown to include financial services and even ownership of the Mamelodi Sundowns football club. And at number 2, one of the most famous names in all of global business, the Oppenheimer family. For generations, that name has meant one thing, and one thing only: diamonds. Just try to wrap your head around this number. In 2012, after 80 years of family control, Nicky Oppenheimer sold the family's 40% stake in the diamond giant De Beers. The price? $5.1 billion in cash. It was the end of a legendary era, but what a way to cash out. And that leads us to the very peak, the #1 family on our list, the dynasty at the absolute apex of wealth in South Africa. It's the Rupert family, led by Johann Rupert. With a 2022 net worth of $8.9 billion, their empire is built around the Swiss luxury goods firm Richemont. This is the company that owns some of the most famous luxury brands in the world. We're talking Cartier, Van Cleef & Arpels. It was an absolutely brilliant move, spinning off assets from his father's company to build this global luxury powerhouse. So, after going through all these incredible stories, you start to see a pattern, right? It seems like there's a definite, repeatable playbook for building this kind of wealth. And it really seems to come down to 4 pillars. First, you build expansive empires. It's not about just one company. It's about a whole network of businesses under the family brand, like how Motsepe went from mining to finance to sports. Second, you pass the torch, entrusting your descendants with leadership roles to keep the vision and control inside the family. Third, you structure your wealth very, very carefully. This is about protecting the fortune from taxes and market shocks. And finally, you stop relying on a paycheck. A fortune this big is sustained by the returns from your assets, not from a salary. This playbook has clearly worked for decades. But it does leave you with one final, really interesting question. In our world that's changing so fast, with tech and AI and all these new markets, what is the playbook for the next generation of great dynasties going to look like?